Hey, ho!
Oh,
Hey, we're talking over here.
I've just been listening to a bit of the Church of What's Happening Now with Joey fucking Diaz. So I'm in a bit of that kind of, hey, it's me, Joey Diaz. That kind of.
I'd be perfectly happy for you to talk like that for the whole podcast.
The F1 drivers, they ain't kneeling. Oh. There we go. That's the podcast, pretty much. Oh.
Hello and welcome to this brand spanking new potty. It's a sport potty. It's called What's the Go? Because we all want to know what's the go when sport's on. You know, what's the go with this? What's the go with that?
That's what we all say. We say, what's the go, we say.
My name's Stu, and with me is podcaster and sports nut Monty. Is it okay to call you a sport nut?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was, sports nut is fine. That sounds not too derogatory and kind of explanatory. Yes, I am a nut about sports. My brain is not correct when it comes to the sports world.
You know what? We'll start off with some sports headlines. Starting off over at the F1, and there's a bit of controversy, a bit of confusion with Formula One's plan to get the drivers to kneel during the Austrian national anthem on last Sunday. So there were 20 drivers, 6 of them decided they wouldn't kneel, which was obviously meant to support the Black Lives Matter movement currently. Lewis Hamilton was one of the people driving the kneeling amongst the drivers. Driving. God, see, how good am I?
Yeah, wow. You know sports.
Yeah. Well, I just know comedy as well because he's driving and he was driving them.
Good.
But a bit of a weird look with some doing it and some not doing it. Did you catch any of that, Monty?
Yeah, look, so I got a couple of things to say on this. So I think it's probably bigger than the remit of a sports podcast, but I think there is change in the world as it relates to
what do we pick it? What do we pick it for our first story then? If it's too big for us to be talking about.
Well, because you and me like to make people laugh, and I think it's ripe with comedy. My first question is, what fucking national anthem?
Austrian.
What national anthem? Austrian?
Yeah.
So we're going to kneel because we're opposed to the way Austria treats its African American people?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
I love the concept of kneeling. I love the idea, and I think that it is right for sports people to speak out. They have a platform, but this one seems a little weird to me.
It made sense for Kaepernick to do it with the US anthem because the US anthem was representative of a history that he was trying to make a comment against. Now, Austrian history, I mean, we know a little bit about that. A certain person came from there. Ooh. But apart from that, like, it's
Are you
really
suggesting that this is Hitler related?
Well, what else could it be? Did they have a African slave trade?
And you know what I was thinking too? You find a lot of your Austrians in the motorsport world. That seems to be one of the things they're quite into. I was thinking of the 6 guys who weren't kneeling, were they all Austrian? Because that's fair. I'm fine with that if they're like, no, I stand for my national anthem.
Yeah, this is our national anthem.
Yeah,
what have we done wrong?
Kneeling? Look,
I'm nervous about
starting with this one. Yeah, I agree. Also,
because I've gone straight to Hitler as well. So
yeah. You wouldn't think in the first 2 minutes of trying to start a new podcast Hitler would come up, but it has. No, let's try different stories. We'll leave it. It's not even that big of a story. Did you even know the F1 was back on? I had no idea.
No.
That being said, though, it opens you up to Bernie Ecclestone having another kid.
It opened you up to Bernie Ecclestone having another kid.
It opens it up, suggesting that the discourse we're having could then move to the fact that a 90-year-old is having his 4th child in the last month or so.
Wow.
Yeah. Ekdogs gets after it.
What do you know about his spouse?
Which one?
Oh, hey.
His modern one's a hottie, I assume.
Fair enough to assume too.
I'm Googling it. Can we just make a podcast like this? This is more fun too.
Yeah.
Hubby on Flossie. He wanted 6 children. Oh, good.
Why do you pick a number like that?
The Ek dog just had a baby. You know how old his oldest baby is?
40?
65.
No.
That's insane.
That's an old baby.
Yeah, that's it. Can you imagine being 65 and having a newborn brother or sister?
Well, you'd be pretty sure it's a half brother or half sister at the very least.
Yeah.
Unless there's,
Unless
unless your mother was. No, I won't.
No, let's, yeah.
But yeah, that is odd. You're just about to get your pension card, and your dad says, your frail old dad says, "Oh, by the way, here's your new little brother."
Get the fuck out of this. Do you know his first spouse that he had that baby with? You know what year they got married?
I think you can stop calling him a baby. He's 65.
Okay. It's her, Deborah Eccleston. He married his first wife, who he had that baby with, in 1952.
Wow.
Oh, guess what the name of the new one is, though? Ace Eccleston. I like that. That's a good name.
I think if you're probably the most famous person in racing or close to, you're having your 4th kid, you're 90-something, you can call your kid Ace, can't you, wwithout too much social repercussion?
Who's going to say shit?
You're too busy going, you can still do that? Yeah. How about that BJ Leilua hanging out a dirty clothesline to someone who didn't even have the ball in the Tigers-Panthers game right at the end? So he'd seen his brother get walloped and taken off the field, and he wasn't happy about it, but seemingly disproportionately so, I would have thought, given how many injuries happen in a game and all that sort of thing, and include how many injuries BJ himself is probably responsible for. But Dylan Edwards, minding his own business, full-time siren's about to go, then all of a sudden he's clotheslined. Bloody Hulk Hogan come out at him and
yeah, look, I a couple of thoughts I have here. So first of all, we're going to do a podcast. It's going to come out weekly. You're going to probably notice a few biases. One of my biases is towards the teams I support, and one of those teams is the Balmain, now Wests Tigers.
Whoa, slow down. You're biased towards teams you support?
I know. I'm just letting you know which teams at the moment. And even I was pretty disgraced by that. It just looked like I was, first of all, let's take it back to the beginning. So his BJ's bro gets a kind of, it was a late shot, but it didn't look malicious by any means. He was going down and, I don't remember which Panther it was, but hit him on the chin. And it seemed rather scary. He was out for a while. He seemed to be, and that seemed to be what agitated BJ. He was kind of, He walked over to see his bro, and there was someone else there, and he pushed him away, and kind of he just seemed and
Coruscant, the hooker,
appetizer Coruscant,
because he came over to see how he was doing on the ground and say sorry and stuff, and BJ gave him a shove.
Yeah, and so it just seemed from there
very unchristian.
Well, and I just think, look, BJ's great, but we got some other people that can take that. There's 10 minutes left in the game. If you're Madge Maguire, you get rid of him. You say, this idiot's going to do something stupid, so get him off. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah, I blame the club a bit.
But part of the stupid might have been going feral enough to just run over the top of half the team and score a try. That might have been how the stupid presented itself.
You're utterly correct.
As a Tigers fan, what did you think when you heard that BJ was coming to your club?
I think I even discussed this with you when it was happening. I think I said, look, great player, really glad to have him, but a liability. He can't, he's a bit of a, as I'm a sports nut, he's just a regular nut sometimes. So this was coming.
So he's got to score at least 3 tries a game to even up the ledger of penalties given away.
Well, right? It's not even that. I think it's kind of 3 tries per game he's not suspended for. Do you know what I mean? Well, he'll three tries probably every 2 games, but in the one
let's
game
go on aggregate then.
Yeah, exactly. 1 penalty, 1 try. Let's say that.
So he might have a little rest on the sideline for a few weeks, you reckon? What do you reckon? 4? 2, 3,
I
4?
I think personally, if I was at the judiciary, you'd give him 4, and he could argue it down to 3. You can't just hit a defenseless bloke like that. You don't want to show kids that. You don't want to say that's all right. You want to say this is not. We won't stand for that in the NRL in the new COVID times. We want everything looking as good as possible at this sport. So you get him out for a while.
Hang on, let me understand your thesis here. It's not okay to whack someone who's off the play in COVID times.
Yeah, but back in the 80s, when COVID was,
right.
just a kind of glint in its mother's eye, then is that how that saying works? Then you could whack people all the time, and BJ would have fit right in.
Well, yeah, BJ and Les Boyd on the same team. There's a
Wow.
reference for everybody.
Wow.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. Now, still on league, the Broncos, eh? Why are they so? They're very, very poo at the moment.
They're no good at all.
And what do you think about Seabold? Is it just Chad, or is he genuinely in danger? Because he seemed pretty like a golden boy there for a little while.
Well, he did, didn't he? But I mean, you know as much about rugby league as I do, and you can see that on paper, the Broncos have a good team. They look like they should be a lot better than where they are. And what's the one difference from them being good to now? It's Seabold. So surely he's got to be somewhat concerned, and there's got to be talk of it. Fair. I think you got to give him a bit of a bigger leash coming in there, but I think he has to be worried, and I think the club has every right to kind of make him worried.
Darius Boyd.
Yep.
Now, a few things I've read this week have been kind of that a lot of the issues are around pay that people get, or at least pay that people have been reported to have gotten.
Sure.
So Darius being on big money and playing like plop.
Yep.
Anthony Milford being on huge money and doing nout.
Yep. And now, aren't I to think that Matty Lodge is on little money but working hard? Yeah.
No, that might have more to do with, needing to rebuild a reputation again.
Has he done something wrong, has he?
No, he didn't do anything wrong, I don't think. Let me ask you this. Assuming that is the case and that there is a divide between players who everyone feels are overpaid and players who feel they are underpaid, wouldn't that be an issue at every club rather than just the Broncos? Surely that happens at every club.
I think if you have the right coach and the right management outside of that, you can make people buy into your system. I think people only start thinking about these pay gap differences if you feel separate. If you feel like, he's getting paid more than me. If you feel like a cohesive unit, you can probably kind of work together and kind of work around that and just say, okay, I'm here for this reason. Let's do it.
All right. So if you got a good enough manipulator as a coach, you can make a team forget that, that bloke who's hiding out in the centres and not tackling and kind of dropping the ball all the time on $1 million a season, that's not really, you don't have to worry too much about that. Forget about that. Are
you suggesting we have kind of pay scales that can slide per game? Oh, you've had a bad game. We're going to take off, half your salary this week. I like that.
I'm not, but it's not a bad idea. Like you get like, instead of in the sheds after the game, you get the team accountant in there. And he's going through all the stats and totting up money per, tackle, try, assist.
Love it.
All the rest of it. I think the only issue with that is that you might struggle to keep people in position. You might have your wingers up in the ruck every play trying to take hit-ups.
Fullbacks making jackals all the time. Fullbacks up
you try and fling it out wide and there's no one there because everyone's in the middle. Yeah.
Well, as I am quite a fan of American sports, I know how incentive-laden contracts can be. So things like in the NFL, you will get an extra $1.5 million each year if you make over 10 sacks as a defensive back. I would love to see a really heavily incentive-laden contract structure put into the NRL and see exactly
Right.
what you just said. People fighting
Yeah.
each other in their own team to make tackles on players, or people, being very selfish with the ball towards the line for tries.
All right, so let's
that.
just say Alex Glenn's running forward to make a tackle, and Logie tackles him before he gets to the player with the ball,
exactly.
so he can then get up and make the tackle.
I want people
right.
looking at Logie scared, worried to go past him on his own team because he'll get rid of you. Yeah,
I already think they do, mate.
I'm sure they do, especially the city of
But
New York.
but also the pay scale can be relative. So you can say to Anthony Milford, look, just this game, just pass the ball successfully once.
Yep.
And you get your pay this week. Just
Love
once.
it.
Just put someone vaguely near a gap.
You don't do it, and Matty Lodge gets your pay this week. And you got Matty over there salivating in the corner, looking at him going, yeah, I'm ready. So, yeah, and then it adds more incentive for Matt Lodge to stop him making passes.
Well, yeah, he's on the hunt again to try and take... Well, so maybe there's one pool of money. So if Milfy's playing too well...
Love it.
That's going to rob too much of what Lodgy can potentially earn.
Love it.
So he's got to charge down Milford's kicks.
I love this. So every team in the NRL has a new pay system where we have, say, $4 million a week to pay. Here are things that'll get you money. You guys go out there and you're going to be paid only on your efforts.
Yes.
One tackle, $100, something like that. You know what I mean? Great. Yeah. Love it. I like that a lot. I wonder if they did that, would that equal better play?
Yeah, potentially, but I also think it kind of team strategies out the window a little bit to some degree.
Absolutely. But what if one of the major incentives was victory? So it was like, okay, all of these things are worth double if you win the game.
So then you put the player in a position of deciding, do I go for just trying to accumulate as many small pay units as possible during game, or do we work together and try and get the jackpot prize, I guess you'd call it?
Exactly. Yeah, like do I run beside and look for the offload pass of my winger, or do I tackle my own winger out so that he cannot win from that pool of money that I want?
Yeah. I think the game can be measurably improved by the person with the ball doing a lion's share of tackling as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Very
all right. Well, I think
confusing.
we should probably develop this idea offline so no one nicks it.
I feel like we haven't given it enough time, Stu.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Yeah, signs a monster American football contract. Monty, tell me about that contract. What is it?
Now, I don't know if the full details have been released yet, but I believe it is.
All right, well, that's the end of that story.
Yeah, there you go.
No, sorry. Oh, no.
It has been released. I believe he is set to receive $500 million over 10 years. That's right. 721 Australian million dollars over 10 years. Wow.
Okay, so you are quite au fait with American sports. I am not. Who's Patrick Mahomes?
Wow.
And why does he deserve this cash?
Patrick Mahomes is the wunderkind of the Kansas City Chiefs. He is the quarterback. Right. He came into the league 3 years ago, I want to say, and spent his first year redshirting, which means not playing but learning from the guy, the guy who is backing up. Came in the next year.
Is that what Jared Haynes was doing?
Well, no, Jared Haynes wasn't good enough to be called redshirting. He just wasn't very good. He broke onto the scene, did amazingly, lost in the kind of what they call their semi-finals almost 2 years ago, and then he won the Super Bowl last year and was the MVP of not only Super Bowl but of the league that year. So he is. If there's anyone to get it, he deserves to get it. He's amazing, but it's just a shockingly large number.
No salary caps in the NFL. By the
yes, there are. But
what?
Yep.
And this fits under it.
well, because it's not anything. So what they'll do is it's 480, I believe, or 470 something of guaranteed money, and that would be broken into things like signing bonuses
Right.
for things he does, and then also
Okay.
what they would do is because they've given him that much with that much guaranteed, they will tell him how they'll pay it to him. If you know what I mean, which
No.
well,
What do you mean? Like
what I mean is
it's
that
straight into the bank account, ideally.
well, no, not all at once, and this is how they
Travelers checks.
this yeah, travelers check. This is how they maneuver the salary cap. It may be very backloaded. It may be very front loaded. They may be paying him not much one year, but he got so that 470. I'm no GM, but you could do this, right? You could say, okay, we're signing you for 10 years, $477 million guaranteed. You get $401 million up front. And that way you're only taking $2 million off the salary cap each year. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like there will be ways that they are making it under the salary cap. Now, there is
Look, I've got more questions about that, but I'm not going to ask them because it's probably dull.
Yeah, relatively dull. But there is talk. I'll leave you with this. There is talk that it's actually the Kansas City Chiefs, the team, who have won big time out of this deal. The thought is that with a rising salary cap and what $40 million a year is now will be in 8 years, they may have actually just got a bargain because he is so young and in theory won't be hitting his peak for another 5 or 6 years. They could be paying less for him than everyone else is paying for their quarterback then.
Oh, wow. What a thought, particularly in these times of economic crisis. That, that no one predicts that the amount that elite sports people are paid are going to take a hit at all.
Isn't it great that, you're sitting at home in America struggling because you can't work and stuff. Then this guy's getting $500 million for throwing a ball around in a sport that probably won't be able to play this year due to COVID.
Yeah, but he is worth that money because he's also got to duck the rest of his team because they've already introduced the per play pay units.
Lovely, and there's talk around the KC facility that Matty Lodge is on the way.
One of the all-time great games between the Storm and the Roosters on Thursday, right? The finish, Monty. I was hoping for the Roosters to win. Not that I particularly go for them, but I particularly don't go for Melbourne. Well, so I was quite happy.
I particularly hate both those teams, so I was kind of enjoying the end where it was so back and forth. I hoped someone would feel terrible coming out of it, but not really.
Well, at least you'll be happy to know that they both felt terrible for equal portions during that last 5 minutes.
Yeah, right? Wow. What an entertaining finish.
Let me tell you, that game was fast.
Yep.
So that had... Oh, well, hang on. We're right in the middle of what would have been State of Origin time. So maybe they just got that State of Origin kind of feel about them.
Melbourne, Sydney. Yep, you're right. There are two different states, I suppose.
Yeah, but the pace was incredible. I don't know how they kept it up, particularly with the poor buggers having next to no match fitness.
Exactly, and I was reading
they've been back 6 weeks.
I was reading an article today saying that that could be detrimental to them. That they might have blown their load.
Excuse me,
might have gone a bit too hard too early, and that games like that with that intensity might affect them come finals time.
Well, I don't know. I don't care. If we get one of those every 3 weeks, I'd be happy a game like that.
I'd love that.
We got quite a close game in the Tigers-Panthers one a couple of days later.
Yeah.
Bloody good.
And to be fair, that the BJ Leilua game was a pretty good game until he whacked that bloke.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. The poor old Tigers fans aren't happy. So they lost quite late in the game and they had BJ go a bit bananas and not happy that Ivan, the guy who
Ivan
double-crossed.
Getting a bit angry too at a fan or something? Is that who he was having a go at?
Yeah, so here's the story. Like, I'm reading stuff going, Ivan, people weren't happy with Ivan because he was, the guy who upset the club. He was blowing kisses to fans and so on. But this guy gave Ivan a big serve through the window, a swear-laden serve.
Yeah, fair.
Right in front of his kid.
Yep.
And
well, which kid? The big kid? The big child?
Well, no, 12-year-old son.
Oh, okay. So I thought you meant.
So he's
I thought you meant Ivan Cleary's large child.
oh right,
Yeah,
right.
I was like, he's a grown man.
Very
He'll be
good.
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Just put it on TikTok or
No,
something.
no. Hey, this guy was. Hang on. Let me. All right. So this fan called Nicholas Zorba, who was at the game with his 12-year-old kid, just starts giving Ivan Cleary a F and C bomb laden bake through the glass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which
In
is
front of a 12-year-old
COVID
kid.
safe, though. COVID safe through the
Fine.
glass. Yeah.
Fine. But what is everyone bitching about? Ivan giving him a kiss and a wave. He's lucky that's all he got. Like,
Whoa.
seriously.
You reckon Ivan should have maybe beat him up?
Well, no, but just an equally aggressive, angry response. He could have,
sure.
stuck his head out and called him all manner of horrible things in front of his young, impressionable child.
So I'm just reading about this too. There's some good quotes here. One from Nofaluma saying about Joey Leilua about getting suspended. He said, this is the final words of his quote. He says, "It might be a good period for Joey to work on his body and get extremely fit."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So not only has he lost his mind, but he's also
he needs to
not
get
in shape.
extremely fit. Or he might be in regular shape, but Nofal wants him extremely fit.
Right, okay.
The other thing that's come up here for me is that...
Nofaluma, she's my baby.
Nice. Moses Mbai is a captain of our team?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I think they feel bad that they don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, fair. You can be captain, I suppose.
Wasn't he a hooker a halfback at
Halfback, yeah.
Bulldogs?
Yep.
Now he's in the centres of Tigers? I don't know.
No one knows. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, back to this F and C bomb guy, right?
Zorba? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Nick Zorba? Sounds familiar. Zorbus.
Here's a direct quote. "I think I hate Penrith more than bunnies and dogs now. I was so angry at FT, full-time. We were gallant and unlucky on so many occasions and just let fire to a person I lost all respect for after how he treated our club. Hope my boy doesn't remember some of the words I used."
Oh. Wow.
Did you forget he was there? Like, anyway.
He's got a very forgetful son. He knows his son better than we do.
That's true. We shouldn't assume this kid's going to remember anything.
Yeah. What a weird way to finish that. I hope my kid doesn't remember that crazy shit I said.
Yeah. Here we go. He goes, "Was fed up. That ref was pathetic. The rub of the green went against us, and I just really hate him and how he shafted us last season. Don't get me started on his son." So, I don't know. 1 minute he's quite happy to just let pure hatred pour out of him, but he also doesn't want his son to witness it. So you know what you do then?
Remove your son?
No, put it up on social media so they can write an article about it.
Oh, because his son can't read? Are we seeing the start of somewhat of a new kind of a rivalry, a heavy rivalry?
A Tigers-Panthers rivalry?
Well, I mean, they took our coach. We swore at them through the glass and then punched one of their players. Perhaps this is
and
the start
he
of a
indicated a scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, one of those ones. Yeah.
That's taking offense at someone pointing to a scoreboard. My God.
Yeah.
What's happening in America? You've written something here about sport preparing to return in a COVID-like fashion, right?
Yeah, so it's the NHL, the NBA, and the Major League Baseball have all kind of released this week they release each week a different plan, it seems, but this one seems to be their kind of concrete plan as to who's playing who, when, and where. It looks as if the NHL, the ice hockey, will set up a few hubs with certain teams going to all stay in one city and play at the one arena, back to back almost, it seems. And the NBA is doing the same, but they're going to Disney World.
Oh, score.
Yeah, and so the concept is that there is all the teams that are in the finals, which is 16 plus, I believe, an extra 8 teams, 4 from either conference. Why they're there, no one seems to understand, but they're going to have 8 games, I believe, before the finals start. So I suppose those other teams have a way to play themselves in, but not really. They're really there as kind of cannon fodder for the other teams to kind of, practice against. But so the interesting thing is that each time you lose kind of a series, you'll remove from the bubble. So it's possible that if you were to go on and win a 7-game series, I think it's something like 3 months you'll be at Disney World. That's a lot of time at Disney World.
And you get evicted from the bubble if you lose too many.
Pretty much, yeah. Or there's also a public vote off as well. Doesn't matter how you're doing playing wise, your team might just be voted off. That's not true, but that could be funny.
Well, they might eat toffee apples at halftime instead of oranges.
Nice.
That's because they're at Disneyland.
I get the feeling personally with the amount of people playing and stuff. I think this is my predictions. Write these in stone. I don't think the NBA is going to finish their season. I think baseball is definitely not going to have a season. That one is way too hard. They're not even trying a bubble, and the amount of players on each team and stuff like that, it's just not going to work.
And the season goes for 18 months a year.
Exactly. And it's been cut down to get this because of the thing. They're cut down to only 62 games.
Only.
That's crazy, isn't it? We're having a half of the regular season, 62 games.
Yeah.
Django Unchained.
We've talked about a lot of sport here, Monty.
Yes, we have.
A lot of sport going on. I'm enjoying this. I want to keep doing it with you. I want to learn more about because I don't know enough about the world sports.
I think you can. I think we can do this together.
NFL, NHL.
Yep.
I want education, and you're going to do it for me.
I'm into it. Let's do this. I like it.
Something else I want education in is hot dogs. You had something to tell me about that related to hot dogs, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but you threw me off there because I was like, wow, that's a left turn. But then I remembered why. This weekend, back to the topic of America, was the 4th of July, in which they have the traditional Coney Island Nathan's Famous hot dog eat-off competition.
Hello, my Coney Island baby.
Yeah, nice. It is a competition for who can eat the most hot dogs in 10 minutes. It happens every year on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
A man called Kobayashi, a small Japanese man, was the reigning champion for nigh on a decade. But in the last 35 years, a new man on the scene, Johnny Appleseed, is that his name? What's his name? I've forgotten his name.
Joey Chestnut.
Chestnut, that's it. Appleseed.
Haven't you got your notes in front of you?
I do. I looked away at the time I wanted to say that. Joey Chestnut this weekend set a new world record for most hot dogs eaten in 10 Earth minutes. He ate 75 hot dogs, and that's the bun and the dog itself. Now they use
right, yeah, because that's confusing because sometimes Americans just call the Frankfurter hot dog.
No, each one you have to consume the bun and the dog. You don't have to do it in that order, though. I believe Joey's thing is he gulps down two of the Franks, and then he dunks his bread in water, and then kind of gulps it down like a duck.
Lets it kind of disintegrate.
Yeah.
So wow, yeah, he does. He swallows the Frankfurt's whole, according to some footage that I saw.
Yeah, I believe. Well, I mean, surely you can't swallow 75 dogs whole. Yeah, can you just picture a pile of 75, just the dogs without a bun? That would not fit in your stomach.
Well, but it's takes up the same volume as chewed up hot dogs. What are you talking about?
Does it? Yeah, it probably does.
Unless you have some sort of amazing digestive system that breaks down food on the way to your stomach.
Wow, I like
and spreads it out into your blood system.
Like a kind of Sarlacc Pit style, like teeth on the inside of your throat.
Well, we shouldn't make assumptions. Maybe that is part of what's going on there.
Love it. So he's a human Sarlacc Pit. I like that.
Yeah. We will post up some Joey Chestnuts for you on our social channels, which you should follow. What's the go? Yeah, search for What's the Go.
What's the go at twitter.com.au/DA.
That's how you look up Twitter, that's for sure. Instagram, Facebook, get on there. Follow us.
Bieber.
Hello, my name is Piers Grove, and I'm a founder, publisher, and managing director. In March 2022, I'd just been named Managing Director of Australian Geographic and set up Scout Publishing. Then everything changed. 404 Brain Not Found, the podcast for stroke survivors and their friends and colleagues. We explore the absurd experience and frustrating journey of stroke recovery. 404 Brain Not Found, a general experiments podcast on all podcast streamers.
My name's Stu,
I'm Rachel.
and we are fans
Obsessives might be the word.
of the 90s. The 90s. The 90s. The 90s. You can follow the podcast on your favourite podcast app. Rachel, what's the name of the show?
Swinging on the flippity flop.
Why the 90s?
We lived it.
We lived it, we were it.
Was it the best decade ever or the lamest? Let's find out.
Flippity flop.